Variables are placeholders for storing dynamically or programmatically supplied user values. Hi, I'm Seema from AutomationEdge Professional Services. In this video, I will describe the Get PS Variables Process Studio step to fetch PS variables and assign the values to fields in the workflow stream. Process Studio has 4 ways to capture dynamic user inputs. The types of variables include user-defined variables, internal variables, parameters, and PS or Process Studio variables. In this video, I will talk about PS variables. Let us describe the Get PS Variables step. Get PS Variables is a step in the AutomationEdge core plugin in Process Studio. The Get PS Variables step explicitly retrieves or fetches PS variables and values. If you do not wish to explicitly retrieve the values using the Get PS Variables steps, you can also directly call the variables in step fields by using a metadata string containing the variable scope and name in braces appended with a $sign at the beginning. The Get PS Variables step reads all types of Process Studio variables, that is local and global. It assigns the variables to fields in the workflow input stream. The step returns rows or adds values to the input rows. The Get PS Variables step can fetch variables defined in the Set Variable step in the same workflow. Now we will see how to refer or call the PS variables in the Get PS Variables step or in other fields in the workflow steps. To refer to PS variables defined in the Set PS Variable step, use a metadata string containing the variable scope and name in braces and appended with a $sign at the beginning. As you can see here, 2 examples referring to global and local variables. To refer to PS variables defined in the workflow properties, you can use the metadata string containing the variable scope and name in braces and appended with a $sign at the beginning, as seen, or you can use the Get PS Variables button in the Get PS Variables step, or you can use Ctrl plus space to list and select PS variables. Now let us go to Process Studio to see the configuration options for the Get PS Variables step. I'm in Process Studio. I have opened a blank workflow Get PS Variables. Let us search for the Get PS Variables. Let me drag and drop Get PS Variables on the canvas. To configure, double-click and open the properties. Let us see the description of each of the fields. The first is the step name. Please provide a name for the step as you would like it to appear in the workspace or canvas. The name has to be unique in a single workflow. You can use a naming convention like the first 3 or 4 letters of the step name followed by a descriptive name. For example, if I wish to fetch stock symbol variable, I can write stock symbol. For now, let us cancel it. Let me open the properties again. Now let us go to the fields table. The first column is the variable. Now, as mentioned, if the variable is defined in a Set PS Variable step in the workflow, then you need to use the metadata string containing the variable scope and name in braces appended with a $sign at the beginning in the format global.varname or local.varname. Secondly, if you want to add variables defined in the workflow properties, then there are 3 options. One is you can use the same convention. The second is you can use the Get PS Variables button. Right now, we have not yet defined any PS variables in the workflow properties. So let us cancel this. Let me double click on the canvas. In the PS Variables tab, let me define a variable X with description X and scope local. Let me define another variable Y with scope global. Click OK. Now in the Get Variables step, you can click the Get PS Variables button and it lists the variables we defined in the workflow properties. Thirdly, to refer to PS variables defined in the workflow properties, you can fetch them from the list. You can fetch them one by one, as many as you want to define. Let me retain one variable here. Click OK. Now, if you want to get variables in other steps, for example, let me drag and drop the Microsoft Excel Writer step. Let me open the step. So for example, if I want to refer to variables defined in the same workflow, then I can use the metadata string containing the scope and the variable name in braces and appended with a $. However, for PS variables defined in the workflow properties, there are more options. The first one is use the metadata string in the same way, or if the field contains a $sign, then you can use control plus space and the list has entries for the PS variables defined in the workflow properties. So you can select your variable to refer to it. So let us click cancel. Let me just delete the Excel writer step. Let us go back to PS variables. So I have referred to a variable in the field name. By default, it shows the variable name, but you can provide a user-friendly name. So in my case, say I wish to say count. You can select a string from the drop-down list. Depending on the type, you can select the format from the list. These are the formatting options for string type. If you change it to number, for example, the list changes. Let me keep it to string. I do not wish to apply any formatting. In the length, specify the length of the field. Let me say 100. In the precision field, specify the precision. So for number, it is the number of floating point digits, and it is not used for string, date or boolean data types. In the currency, specify the currency format to interpret numbers with currency symbols. For example, having $10,000 with comma as a group separator and period as a decimal separator to interpret numbers with this format, or euro 5,000 to interpret numbers having period as a group separator and comma as a decimal separator and currency euro. In the decimal field, specify a decimal separator, for example, comma or period. In the group field, specify the group separator, for example, comma or period. Specify a trim type from the list. For the field before processing, select from none, left trim, right trim, or both for left and right trim. So we saw all the configuration options for the get PS variable step. Let us cancel it. Let us recap. We saw the get PS variable step, description and configuration options, and we also saw how to fetch PS variables defined in the workflow properties. AutomationEdge can jumpstart your digital transformation journey. With AutomationEdge, you can quickly build automation workflows using the numerous pre-built plugin actions.